Let's look at some of the benefits of self-publishing, and for those of you who are already self-publishing, you know this. When I talk with self-published authors and I ask, what do you enjoy about self-publishing, I'll hear, no gatekeepers. I publish what I want. I have faster time to market. I have total creative control over my book. I don't have to worry about a publisher telling me, oh, I don't know how to place this book in the market. I don't know how to categorize it. I like your writing, but I just don't know where it fits. I'm not sure I can sell it. If you've got a book you believe in, you can publish it, you can sell it. You have total promotional flexibility. If you wake up tomorrow morning and you want to price your book at 99 cents for a one-week promotion, you can do that. You have better distribution to a global market. The large publishers are still carving up the rights to their books and doling them out by geography. This means that there are vast swaths of geography where your book is not available for purchase. That's crazy in today's age. Your book should be available for purchase everywhere on the globe. Your books are immortal as a self-published author. Your book never needs to go out of print because the retailers want to stock your book forever. You've got access to professional-grade publishing tools. You've got access to the same tools that the big publishers have. You've got lower expenses. You don't have Manhattan skyrise office rents to pay. That means you can price your product at a lower price, which makes your product more desirable, more accessible to more customers. And you can earn higher royalty rates on your self-published ebooks. How much? Well, quadruple plus. An indie author on their ebook is going to earn 60 to 80% of the list price as their royalty for every copy they sell. When you're working with a traditional publisher, the ebook author only earns 12 to 17% of the list price. So let's put this in perspective. It means that if you're a self-published author at $3.99, every copy you sell, you're going to earn a little over $2.50. For a traditionally published ebook author to earn $2.50 for every copy they sell, that book has to be priced over $14. So put yourself in the shoes of readers. If you see two books of equal quality, one's $3.99, one's $13.99, which one's more desirable to you? Which one are you more likely to take a chance on? Indie authors are able to benefit from these lower prices. They can reach more readers, sell more units, and they're earning a higher royalty rate for every unit they sell. Trend 5. Indie ebook authors are hitting all the bestseller lists. So indie authors are now out-publishing the big publishers in many instances. By combining a high-quality writing and production with lower prices, indie ebooks are scaling the bestseller lists. Every single week you can look at any retailer's ebook bestseller list and you'll see self-published authors in the top 10. Today, well, if we go back 10 years ago, self-published ebook authors controlled about 0% of the ebook market. Today, that's grown to somewhere between 15 and 25%. It depends on the retailer, it depends on the genre. If you look at genre fiction, it's much higher. If you look at romance, specifically, indie authors probably now control over 50% of the market. Trend 6. The prior stigma of self-publishing is disappearing. So 10 years ago, self-publishing was viewed as the option of last resort. It was viewed as the option for failed writers who weren't good enough to get a publishing deal. These authors who dared self-publish were labeled vanity authors by critics who accused these authors of being so vain, so desperate to publish, that they published even though the conventional norm said that they weren't good enough. But wait, the truth of the matter is all publishing is vanity. How dare any of us think that our book deserves to be read by millions of readers? I know I believe that for the novel my wife and I wrote, but I'm wrong. At least I'm wrong so far. But this stigma was so pervasive. It was pervasive among publishers, it was pervasive among agents, but it was strongest within the writing community. Writers turned on fellow writers. And it's really sad, what happened back then. But writers would turn on fellow writers who self-published as if they had betrayed the book publishing gods. There was this false belief that only publishers had the wisdom to decide what books were worthy of publication. There was this false belief that once you were good enough, you would finally get a publishing deal, and that was your only way you could play this game. Publishing back then was an old boys club designed to enforce the status quo, with agents and publishers as the gatekeepers. There was this idea that rejection made you stronger. It doesn't. So the publishing model was, who likes to be rejected? So the publishing model back then was broken, in my opinion. And it was broken because they couldn't say yes to every author. They didn't really know which books were going to sell. And here's a dirty little secret in publishing. You know, publishers, despite all their wisdom, despite all their good intentions, they don't always know which of their books will be a bestseller. Most of their books fail to become bestsellers. In fact, up until 10 years ago and even to the present, most traditionally published authors still have to maintain day jobs. So that means authors were subsidizing the publishing industry. So ultimately, what publishers were doing was just throwing their best spaghetti against the wall. And many of these books they were rejecting could and would have gone on to become bestsellers if only given the chance. And this was the theory that Smashwords was based upon. I thought that if we could let every writer in the world publish, that some small fraction of these authors would find an audience and go on to become New York Times bestsellers and USA Today bestsellers. And that's exactly what's happened. So now the stigma is melting away. Why? I think the reason is you can't argue with success. You can't argue with opportunity. For many authors, self-publishing is simply a better way to publish. There are many authors who started self-publishing because it was their only way to publish, and now many of those authors self-publish by choice, despite the opportunity to traditionally publish. What we saw in those very early days, there were authors like Amanda Hawking. She was the first self-published author to sell 1 million copies. She started with Smashwords and Amazon and became a huge success. Authors like Kristen Ashley, who couldn't even get an agent. Now, she's probably hit the New York Times list at least a dozen times. And she'll continue to hit it because she's an awesome author. She started with Smashwords and Amazon. Every single one of these self-published authors who achieves commercial success inspired their fellow authors and inspired the industry to recognize that, yes, you can self-publish with pride, professionalism, and commercial success. It's possible. So we're seeing the stigmas reverse. I think today most authors still aspire to get that traditional publishing deal, but we're seeing the tide turn. We're seeing now more authors who aspire to self-publish as their first choice because they've seen the success of their fellow indie authors. So I think, sometime in the future, maybe in the next few years, more authors will aspire to self-publish than traditionally publish. It doesn't matter what you do, what you choose. You do what's right for you. All of these options are great. Trend 7. Indie authors are writing the next chapter of this industry. I mentioned earlier how, for centuries, publishers were the bouncers at the pearly gates of authordom. They held complete power over writers because they determined which writers graduated to become published authors. But today, thanks to the rise of ebooks and the democratization of publishing and the democratization of distribution, indie authors are rejecting the rejection letter. They're throwing off the shackles. Indie authors are learning to self-publish books with pride, professionalism, and success. You don't need a publisher anymore if you decide that a publisher is not right for you. So this means that the power center in the publishing industry is shifting from publishers to writers. This is great news. It means you are in control now. As an author, you decide when, where, and how you publish. You choose your publishing partners. So with this great power comes great responsibility. It's the collective decisions of authors like you over the next few years that will shape the course of this industry for the next generation. So the future of publishing is in your hands. Use your power well. Now, that's my 7th trend. I added a bonus trend for y'all today.